Hi, and welcome back to the third segment of today's show. We'll begin with a question regarding school funding. Andrew, school funding is a big issue right now. Mount Vernon School District is facing a referendum on May 4th. What are your thoughts on school reform, and what measures do you support?
Well, I have a sincere passion. Many people have heard me speak about education and my passions for education, and seeing specifically that our kids benefit from the greatest education system we can provide for them. My wife is a second grade school teacher. She teaches at Hedges in Mount Vernon, which is the one that's going to close. So it hits home for us, certainly. School reform, I mean, the sacrifice is going to be painful in order to make our kids more productive. And I think that we take this opportunity with our sour economic forecasts to really take a hard look at our schools and understand what makes sense in today's world. Specifically, school reform that's centered on three foundations, which is competition, freedom, and accountability. And competition to allow schools to compete. Our kids are competing against kids that we don't understand who they're competing against even. And we must allow schools to that level of competition, give them the tools they need to be successful. On the freedom side of things, certainly allowing parents the freedom to send their kids to school where they want to. And then on accountability, certainly on the part of the people that are in the schools, to do just that, and to be accountable for our kids' education. The two specific areas where we need to seek improvement within our local schools is directing more dollars to the classroom. I've been a volunteer with local schools for many years, and we need to make our schools more efficient at all levels, but directing more dollars to the classroom. And then we need to reward our teachers for their achievement in the classroom. I was involved most recently with a partnership between the Evansville-Vandenberg School Corporation and New Harmony Schools, and that involved a collaborative shared services model that our governor actually called could become a model for the state. And those are the kind of things that I want to be involved in as state senator, because what that plan says is let's make our school more efficient. Let's give our kids access to a better education, and then let's reduce the burden on taxpayers. And so we will never experience economic growth unless we get that education piece right first. And so that's where I would focus my efforts. I want to be a part of the Senate Education Committee. I do have the endorsement of the Senate Education Chairman, Senator Dennis Cruz, and the support of a lot of education professionals to really bring our education system into a new light in Indiana.
Okay, great. Thank you. Jim?
Jamie, I heard the question. I want you to ask it again. I want to make sure
What are your thoughts on school reform, and what measures do you support?
Well, the issue right now on education, in particular in our district, in Mount Vernon, there's a referendum. I don't know if that was in your question.
Yes.
I didn't hear you ask that again, but because I didn't hear Andrew address this referendum about raising taxes.
Right, on May 4th.
I don't know where he's at on that. I don't know if he supports a tax increase on the taxpayer or not. But I'm going to answer your question directly, because this is what these are the things people will not quite answer the question as it's presented. Right now in Mount Vernon, they're asking the people up here to pony up more money for the schools. This was asked the other night, and I'm going to tell you right now that the pressure is being put on the taxpayer and made to be felt guilty if they do not support a tax increase. What we're dealing with here is Mount Vernon, in my estimation, has failed administratively to adjust according to the weak economy we're now dealing with. As I pointed out last night, North Posey, for example, they have made adjustments to their budget well in advance, to the point that most recently, when they did their financial report some weeks ago, announced that the expenditures that they are going to lay out for this year, and the improvements that they're going to do on their facilities, to their buildings, to their grounds, everything, they have the money on hand to do that, plus reserve money back on top of that. Now, the North Polsey School District is suffering the same economy the Mount Vernon School District is, and other schools all across the country and across the state of Indiana. They've suffered the same weather that all these other schools. The difference is that some administrations have taken upon themselves to adjust accordingly and properly, while others didn't. And now their answer is, well, we want the taxpayers to pay more money. I say that's wrong. Now, I've not heard other candidates address this. I've never heard anybody go on record as whether they oppose or support a tax increase to bail out failed administration policies. I oppose the taxpayer footing out the bill for people who cannot function and do their job as recommended. So this is my answer to the question. Also, I want to point out in New Harmony, for example, this is another example of what I talk about when people don't do the right job. The school board up there in New Harmony okayed a pay increase to the superintendent of New Harmony School and the principal. In light of what we're dealing with right now, they agreed to give the superintendent, which is like $96,000, and the principal some $74,000 or $75,000 pay. They allowed them a pay increase. And not only did they give those two people pay increases, but the school board themselves took a 25% pay increase. Now we look at these things and we got to ask, and you want taxpayers to come up with more money? This is outrageous. This is absolutely outrageous. And for teachers, for school administrators to think that they are a little different than the rest of us who've been taking pay cuts or have been held back and had our pays frozen, that they somehow should be treated differently? No, no. So my answer is directly to your question. And you'll notice that I will answer these questions specifically, where other candidates will dodge it and give you this gray, fuzzy answers. No, we've got to have answers from candidates who's running for office. It's got to be specific, and that was mine.
Thank you. Okay, Jim, this next one goes to you first.
Okay.
In 2006, the Indiana House first brought up the issue of immigration and its involvement in local business. With issues facing the federal government, it is sure to resurface. What are your thoughts on immigration reform?
Oh, we need immigration reform. We need enforcement of immigration laws. We have a constitution in Indiana. The illegals that come into this country, all the foreign nationals that's coming in the state of Indiana, are violating our constitution as well as state laws. Senator Mike Dell, for I think 3 years, has tried his level best to get immigration reform passed without success. That's why we need someone like myself who can help him in that, because he needs yet one more supporter for this to get this sort of thing passed. We don't need any more people who wants to dodge it because it's controversial. And the illegal immigration in our state right now, as I said before, has had an impact on the health industry in Indiana. It's had an impact on our schools in Indiana. It's had an impact on our jobs. We have illegals right here in Polsey County. Right here in Polsey County, where we represent. You've got immigrants that come in here that work in the fields right now, the melon fields and stuff like that. They're taking jobs now. They say these are jobs that Americans wouldn't take. You know what? Used to be the high school kids, that was their summertime jobs. They don't know more. They now have these jobs. Their jobs have been replaced by immigrants that come in here, migrant workers that takes these jobs away. And how many of them are illegal? I know we need, as Mike Delph has tried to do, a law that will punish factories, companies, businesses that knowingly hire illegals. And to the point where it's so punitive that they will avoid that practice of hiring illegals. And so it's also the illegal immigration has had a major effect on our crime costs. So yes, I would really like to be involved in addressing that issue.
Thank you, Jim. Andrew?
And as a point of order, would you repeat that last question on school reform?
Yes. Just the whole issue, or?
Just the way you worded it, yeah.
dealing with the referendum on May 4th, what are your thoughts on school reform and what measures do you support?
And just as a point of order, I did answer that question. What are your thoughts on school reform and what measures do you support? And the question was not whether I supported or do not support the referendum in Mount Vernon. Now, on the issue of school, on illegal immigration reform in Indiana, and to the way it was brought up in 2006 is that it was going to penalize employers for unknowingly hiring illegal immigrants. I certainly would support, of course, with all the identity theft today in today's world, as you can imagine how easy it is for someone to claim an identity in the United States. I have been an advocate of being pro-business, but I do support, we must protect our borders. I do support immigration reform. Indiana has tight immigration policies, and we must continue to enforce those without a doubt to make our state to follow the law of the Constitution, as Jim has said.
Okay, great, thank you. And we'll be back after this.